We are discussing Newton's laws of motion, Newton's third law. In today's class, we are going to discuss Newton's third law and the law of conservation of linear momentum. Okay? Newton's laws of motion, we are discussing. Laws of motion, NLM. Newton's third law we are discussing. Third law. This third law, Newton's third law, gives us Newton's second law. Newton's first law defines force. Newton's second law gives magnitude of force. Newton's third law gives the origin of the force. Newton's third law gives the origin of the force. It says that for every reaction there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So for every reaction there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is the statement of Newton's third law. So it gives the origin of the force. So origin of the force means this external force. So the force exerted, actually according to this law, the forces exist always together. A pair of forces exist together. So single force does not exist. If a body exerts a force on another body, then that body, other body will exert the same amount of force on the first body. So these forces are existed together. The single force, it is not possible. So it gives the origin of forces acting on the body. And so this Newton's third law, suppose there are two bodies A and B. A and B. So if you exert because of the contact between these two, if A exert a force on B, then B exert force on A. So the force exerted on A by B is equal to force exerted on B by A. So but it is opposite direction. So this is the mathematical statement of Newton's third law. So this is, we can write it as mathematical form of Newton's third law. So what it says, the force acting on A due to B is equal to force exerted on B due to A. So these two are equal and opposite. So but they are acting on different bodies. Okay, if you consider A, B, if you want to study the motion of the body B, then you have to consider force acting on that body only, okay, due to A. So this, if you want to study motion of the body, if motion of the body, motion of B is considered, then force acting on it, that is FBA is considered, okay, is considered. If motion of B is considered, then force acting on it, FBA is considered. So if motion of A is considered, then the force acting on it, FAB, is considered. Okay. So these two are acting on different bodies. This, if you take one as action, other you take it as reaction. FAB, if is considered as action, then FBA can be considered as reaction. Okay, so reaction. And otherwise, if you consider FBA as action, then FAB can also be considered as reaction. Okay, these are not they are acting on different bodies. They are acting on different bodies, so they won't cancel with each other. Different bodies. So there is a misconception. These two are cancel with each other. So that is a misconception. Okay, when you are studying the motion of the body. So they are acting on different bodies, hence they won't cancel with each other. And another misconception is you may think that one is cause and other is effect. Okay, that is another misconception. It is not one is a cause, other is its effect. That is not, because they are acting on different bodies in the same time, same instant of time. So hence they are not a cause and effect on one another. Okay, so and these are equal in magnitudes and opposite directions. They form action-reaction pair. So in nature, the force always, it obeys all types of forces. It obeys all types of forces. All types of forces. Okay, there are electromagnetic forces, gravitational force, nuclear forces, and weak nuclear forces. So all these types of forces, it obeys the Newton's third law. And it forms all types of forces, will obeys this all types obeys these types of forces. So this is a action reaction pair. Okay, so the few examples are so we are trying to explain this with the help of examples. So we are able to walk on the ground because of this we are pushing the ground backwards and we are moving forward direction as a result. So okay, this is a few examples, but you can't walk on the surfaces like ice and snow. You can't walk because there is no sufficient friction there. So the next topic, friction, we are going to discuss that one also. Okay, so and as the bird pushes the air downwards and the bird flies upwards. These are the few examples of this action reaction pair. And when you are swimming, you are pushing the water back. As a result, you are moving forward direction. Okay, so these are the few examples of action reaction pair. And so this is about Newton's third law. You take this. And the next one is law of conservation of linear momentum. So this is very important law. Law of conservation of linear momentum. The simple form is LCLM. Law of conservation of linear momentum. It is a basic fundamental law. So, if there is no external force acts on a system, this law says that if there is no external force acts on the system, then the total momentum of the system remains constant. What is the statement is there? The statement of Newton's law of conservation of linear momentum is when there is no external force acts on a system, external force acting on a system, when there is no external force acts on a system, then total linear momentum of the system remains constant. Okay, so this statement is called law of conservation of linear momentum. So when there is no external force, so from Newton's second law, so from second law what we have, force is equal to external force is equal to rate of change of linear momentum, dp by dt. Okay, this is from Newton's second law. So if there is no external force, if ext is equal to 0, then what we have, dp by dt is 0. What does it mean? P constant. What is P? Linear momentum is constant. So this total linear momentum remains constant. So for an isolated system, so this is the mathematical statement of law of conservation of linear momentum. So I will try to explain this with the help of in case of collisions. These are so many examples, applications in this law of conservation of linear momentum, and it is a consequence of Newton's third law. Okay, now we are going to verify this theorem by in case of collisions. Okay, in collisions, explosions, firing, this momentum is conserved. Nucleus disintegration, in such a natural process, this momentum is conserved in collisions. Okay, let us see. I will try to explain with one example this law. Okay, so verification of this law, verification or proof of this law in case of collision. Okay, let us consider collision. Okay, let us consider two bodies A and B. Okay, these are isolated. So this A has momentum P1 and P has momentum P2. So they collide with each other. Okay, I will take this direction. So at the speed of second one, so this is the first one, second one, it has momentum P2. Okay, initial values before collision. So total momentum before collision, during this, it's during collision what happens, this is the before collision. So during collision what happens, they exert forces on one another. So during collision, this one exert a force on 2. So this F12 is equal to minus F21. So it exerts a impulse force on one another. So first one exert force on another, second one exerts same amount of force on first one from Newton's third law. So they are equal and opposite. Because of this, these are the internal forces Okay, there is no external force here. So if you consider these two as a system, there is no external force. Here F12 and F21 are becomes internal forces. So because of these forces, the momentum of these bodies will be changes. So this is the before collision. Before collision. This is during collision. During collision. During collision. After collision. So what is after collision? The momentum of the bodies will be changes. Let it be P1 dash and P2 dash. Momentum of the individual bodies will change, but total momentum remains constant. That we are going to prove this one. So from Newton's second law, so what we have in collisions, so I consider two bodies, consider a collision of two bodies, 1 and 2. Okay, so their initial momentums are P1 and P2. What is P1, P2 are their initial momentums. Initial momenta. And P1 dash, P2 dash are their momentum after collision. Okay, so during collision what happens? The individual momentums changes, so it exchanges these momentums, and but total momentum remains constant. So see here from Newton's second law, Newton's second law, what we have? See, from Newton's second law, what we have? F12 is equal to force exerted on 1 due to 2. That is change in momentum of, from Newton's second law, change in momentum of the first one. What is the change in momentum of the first one? So P1 dash is the final momentum minus P1 initial momentum. So final momentum minus initial momentum becomes change in momentum of this. So this momentum takes place by time. So that small amount of time, let it be delta t. Okay? Because this force we can call it as impulsive forces. Because the force exerted a force on one body on another is very small interval of time during collisions. Such forces we can call it as impulsive forces. So what is this is change of momentum. What is F21 from Newton's second law? That is P2 dash minus P1. P2 dash minus P2, that by delta t. Okay, that is delta t. So what is delta t here? Here, what is delta t? Small interval, time of collision, which is very small. That's why I represented with a delta t. Okay, so I will take this space. So from Newton's third law, so what is third law? F12 is equal to minus F21. Okay, so what is F12? P1 minus P1 by delta t is equal to minus of P2 dash minus P2 by delta t. So this delta t get cancelled. So this P1, you bring this side, it will become P1 plus P2 is equal to, you bring this side, then it will become P1 dash plus P2 dash. So this is, hence theorem is verified, hence proved. So I prove this one with the help of Newton's first law and second law. Okay. So I used it to verify this law of conservation of linear momentum in case of collision. I used Newton's second law and third law. What is P1 plus P2? Total momentum before collision. What is P1 dash, P2 dash? Total momentum after collision. This is after collision. Okay. So we can conclude that total linear momentum before collision is equal to total linear momentum after collision. Okay, after collision. Hence this law of conservation of linear momentum is verified in case of collisions. Okay, now let us see some more examples. Now this applications of LCLM, law of conservation of linear momentum. So what are the applications during collisions? So this is very important. During collisions, explosions, firing, radioactive disintegration, So collisions, explosions, firing and radioactive disintegrations, in such applications this momentum is conserved. During collisions, explosions, firing, radioactive, linear momentum is conserved. Dash is conserved. Linear momentum is conserved. What is the meaning of conserved? Total value remains constant. So the first one is firing. So during firing, so bullet fired from a gun. So the example is bullet fired from a gun. So as a result, the gun has mass m. So let the bullet mass, let it be small m. Gun mass, gun is a heavier one, so its mass, let it be capital M. So this capital M is very much greater than small m. Okay. So after firing this gun, say if you fire these bullets from a gun, okay, so let it be a barrel. So if you fire this gun, bullet will exit. So bullet will exceed this one. So this let mass of the velocity of the bullet, let it be v. Okay. So the bullet velocity of the bullet, let it be v. Okay, velocity of the bullet. So if you, in this case here, during this firing, there is no external force. You have to keep this point in mind, because the firing is an internal process. So there is no external force acting on this bullet. So the gun, as you fire this one, the bullet, the gun exerts certain force on the bullet. The bullet exerts same amount of force on the gun. Okay? So you will get a action-reaction pair. And so as a result, this bullet moves with velocity v, with a high speed. As a result, the gun moves backwards. So gun moves backwards with the velocity, let it be v dash. So velocity of the gun, or that velocity is called recoil velocity. Okay, so I want that recoil velocity. So during the firing, velocity of the gun, so there is no external force, so total momentum before firing is equal to, okay, see here, velocity of the bullet, let it be v, velocity of the gun, velocity of the gun, these are the values, let it be Vr, that is called recoil velocity of the gun. What is this? This is called recoil velocity. Recoil velocity. That means velocity of the gun moving back. That recoil indicates as the bullet moves forwards, gun moves backwards to conserve linear momentum. Okay? So, here during this firing there is no external forces. So what is that? Total momentum remains constant. So total momentum before firing is equal to total momentum, since there is no external forces, total momentum before firing is equal to total momentum after firing. Total momentum after firing. Okay. So what is before firing momentum? Before firing, this bullet and gun both are at rest, because bullets are embedded in the gun. Okay, both are at rest. So total momentum is 0. Momentum of the gun 0. Momentum of the bullet is also 0. So after firing, their momentums will be momentum of the gun plus momentum of the bullet. Okay, these are the after firing. It should be equal to 0. So from this, here momentum of the gun is equal to, so I will write here. So from this, momentum of the gun should be equal to minus momentum of the bullet. Okay, that means both are equal, having the same momentas but opposite in direction. Momentum of the bullet will be in the forward direction, momentum of the gun will be backward direction with the same magnitudes. Okay, so I want velocity of the momentum of the gun is mass of the gun into velocity of the gun, that is recoil velocity. This recoil, when you are using minus, I will write minus Vr minus, what is momentum of the bullet? Mass of the bullet into velocity of the bullet. Velocity of the bullet. So Vr is equal to minus, that is minus mv by capital M. What is this minus indicates? That means the velocity of the gun is back. That is called recoil velocity. Okay, if you want velocity of the gun, this we can write it as velocity of the gun. If you want, then you write minus. Otherwise, if you want recoil, then you neglect this minus. Okay, velocity of the gun. So if you want velocity of the recoil velocity, if you want recoil velocity of the gun, so you take its magnitude. So that is mod of Vr. So that mod of Vr is called recoil velocity. Okay. So this is one example. Here momentum is conserved. Okay, what is that meanings? Total momentum before firing is equal to total momentum after firing. Here the velocities are with respect to ground. That with respect to ground. Suppose the bullet has velocity of the bullet, let it be u, with respect to gun. Okay, velocity of the bullet, let it be velocity of the bullet with respect to gun. So that is relative with respect to gun, let it be u. Okay, so velocity of the bullet with respect to gun, let it be u. That is velocity of the bullet with respect to gun is u. What does it mean? Velocity of the bullet minus velocity of the gun is equal to u. Okay, from this, what is velocity? So velocity of the bullet with respect to gun is u. Velocity of the bullet minus velocity of the gun is equal to u. So velocity of the bullet is equal to velocity of the u plus uz. You bring this side, it will become uz. So we have momentum of the gun is equal to minus momentum of the bullet. So momentum of the gun is mass into velocity of the gun minus velocity of momentum of the bullet. Momentum of the bullet is u mass into mass of the bullet into velocity of the bullet. Velocity of the bullet is I will write one more step. Velocity of the bullet. So that is m into Vz, velocity of the gun, minus m into, what is velocity of the bullet? U plus velocity of the gun. Okay, so you bring this side, minus Vz. So it will becomes velocity of the gun small m plus capital M is equal to small m into u minus. Okay, so velocity of the gun is mu minus mu by small m plus capital M. So its velocity of the gun magnitude is, this minus means it is moving back, that is mu by small m plus capital M. I will write here. So this is the final formula. Velocity of the gun is equal to mu by small m plus capital M. Okay, here small, what is u here? You have to notice what is u? Velocity of the bullet with respect to gun. That is relative. Okay, take this one. Next one, during, this is the first example. The second example is explosions. So example 2, application 2, explosions. Explosions. So during explosion, momentum is conserved. Okay, let us see this example. A stationary bomb explodes into two pieces. Two pieces. So here momentum is conserved. Okay, these momentums will fly in opposite directions. Let it be a brinjal bomb. Okay, it explodes into two pieces. When you are firing this one, what is this? Brinjal bomb. Okay, so let it be explode into two pieces, M1 and M2. Okay, after explosion they will fly in opposite directions to conserve linear momentum. Why they will fly in opposite directions? To conserve linear momentum. So before firing, total momentum is 0. So before firing, before explosion, momentum is 0. Momentum is 0. After explosion, momentum of the first piece plus momentum of the second piece. So since there is no external forces here, so momentum is conserved. So we can write total momentum before explosion is equal to total momentum before explosion is equal to total momentum after explosion. Total momentum after explosion. Total momentum after explosion. Total momentum before explosion is 0. Total momentum after explosion is momentum of the first piece plus momentum of the second piece. So P1 is equal to minus P2. So that is M1 V1 is equal to minus M2 V2. What is M1, M2? Masses of these two pieces. What is V1, V2? Their corresponding velocities. Okay. So the ratio of their velocities attended is inversely proportional to their masses. Okay. So magnitude of their velocities is inversely proportional to their masses. They will fly in opposite directions. Okay. So this is momentum principle. If you know from this you know that what happens here, mass is inversely proportional to velocities. So we can, velocity attended by this is inversely proportional to mass. That means heavier piece will attain lighter speed. Lighter speed will attain heavier velocity. Okay. So if they split into equal pieces, their velocity should be equal. Okay. So during these explosions, here momentum, it will get certain kinetic energy. Here kinetic energy is not conserved. So this explosion, the kinetic energy is not conserved because kinetic energy is positive. So the kinetic energy of the system is half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. So the kinetic energy greater than 0. Okay. Initial kinetic energy is, what is initial kinetic energy? Initially the bomb will be at rest, so stationary. So what is its kinetic energy? 0. Is kinetic energy is conserved here? Energy here, total mechanical energy, if you assume potential energy remains the same. So kinetic energy will not be conserved here. Then total mechanical energy is conserved. Total energy is conserved. So where you get this kinetic energy? So this explosion is a chemical process internally. So that chemical energy is converted into kinetic energy here. So according to law of conservation of energy, where this kinetic energy attended by these pieces, they fly off. Where they get this kinetic energy. So here chemical energy is converted into total energy is conserved. Chemical energy is converted into kinetic energy. Okay. If it splits up into three pieces, during this explosion, if it split into three pieces, then the momentum of the third piece, P1 plus P2 plus P3, total momentum after explosion is equal to total momentum before explosion. So momentum of the third piece is resultant of momentum of first and the second pieces. So this is the vector addition. Okay. Suppose if two pieces fly in this direction perpendicularly, first piece will move like this, second piece will move like this, then the resultant will be in this direction according to parallelogram law. So the resultant, these two will be square root of P1 square plus P2 square, resultant of these two. Then the third piece will move in this direction, P3. Okay, it is opposite to that. Clear this one? With this you will get velocity of the third piece also, provided you know the mass of the third piece. Okay. So what is P1 here? M1 V1. What is P2? M2 V2. What is P3? M3 M3 V3. So by knowing P1 and P2, you can calculate velocity of the third piece. Total mass is total mass. What is the total mass? M1 plus M2 plus M3 is equal to total mass of this bomb. Okay. So here is also momentum conserved. So this is the second example. Next. So during this is the explosion. Okay. Now like this, hot gases are ejecting from rocket. See this rocket example. Here is also momentum conserved. This is the hot gases. Hot gases are ejecting from this nozzle of the rocket. Okay, with high speed. As a result, the rocket moves upwards. Rocket moves upwards. Here, this is also at the bottom of the rocket nozzle. So these hot gases are ejecting from the rocket. Okay. Hot gases are ejecting through the nozzle with a high speed. As a result, the rocket moves upwards. Here is also momentum conserved. So this is also principle of law of conservation of linear momentum. So momentum of the rocket is equal to momentum of the hot gases, but both are equal and opposite. Okay. This is nothing but a consequence of Newton's third law. So for every reaction there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. In this case, you consider this example, one more example. Okay. So as you take this example for Newton's third law, horse cart. The horse is pulling the cart, isn't it? The horse is pulling the cart. So why they want each other? The cart applies the same amount of force on the horse. Then how this cart will move forward? So that is the question. Is these two cancel with each other? Then the component of the forces, that is the ground contact forces, friction and normal reaction, the forces are responsible for the cause of motion. Okay. So in this example, horse cart example, see the horse is pulling the cart, isn't it? By applying certain force, and the cart applies the same amount of force on the horse. Is these two cancel with each other? Then how this cart will move forwards? So the component of forces, that is contact forces, normal reaction and frictional force, is responsible for the movement of the cart. Without this force in empty space, the cart can't move forward direction. Okay, the contact forces normal reaction and the frictional force is responsible for the movement of horse. Okay, these are the few examples of Newton's law, third law and the law of conservation of linear momentum. Closing today. Okay, sir.